Hi, I'm Victor Cantore. I'm the president and CEO of Amex Exploration, and I'm glad to be back on the show.
Victor, good to see you. Look, I thought we wanted to catch up with you because we're running this series called Undervalued, and there's a bunch of CEOs have said to me at various points in time, you're one of them, we're undervalued. Like at $600 million as an exploration play, how can you say that you're undervalued?
Well, absolutely. And so this chart was done a couple of weeks ago. We've actually fallen since. We're trading approximately $470 million. So we're actually even more undervalued than when we prepared this, doing a developer project comparison. We are, when you look at our PEA, for example, we're talking about producing over 100,000 ounces a year. We do have a feasibility study for the phase one, because as you recall, we are staging this. We're doing a bulk sample first, then we're doing phase one, and then we're doing phase two. The reason we're doing it that way is really to mitigate both financial risk and also the technical risk to the project. When I compare myself to some of the peers that are very similar, we are way undervalued.
Okay, so but there's a bunch of stuff that you're going to have to deliver on. People see you, it's in your name. It's Amex Exploration. How can you move through the phases and kind of become a builder? Because at the end of the day, you got to produce. Are you the team to do that? And your shareholders today going to capture that value?
Yeah, well, look, we're doing everything we need to do as a company going forward. I know to take it to production, because again, the way we've mitigated the financial and technical risk, it makes sense. We're definitely not done there at producing at 100,000 ounces. We definitely want to bring that number up. The feasibility study will tell the story, especially just for phase one. Then we'll have another feasibility study also coming up. So those numbers will be told there. But in the meantime, a lot of M&A going on. Somebody takes you over. Look, my goal is to get this valuation as high as possible and to a deserved valuation. When I compare myself to some of my other peers that they're trading, when we were trading at 600 million, they were trading at 1.2 billion. So we're very undervalued, and for something that's very comparable. On top of it, we do have high grade ounces. And then when it comes to infrastructure, we're right there. You have a town right beside. That means you have a workforce, you have electricity, you have water. Like if I'd have to draw a picture and tell somebody, okay, where would you draw a mine? That is exactly where I would draw a mine. So we're going to do everything possible to enhance shareholder value here and to try to bring it up to our peers.
Okay, well, remind me of what the PEA numbers say in terms not in terms of the grade, but the scale of the opportunity, the capex, etc. Just for people new to the story, it might help.
Yeah. So for the phase one, our capex is $146 million, but you will be able to get that $146 million from the revenues of your bulk sample. So it really doesn't cover. It doesn't. Most of it will get covered, and that's why we talk about doing this in a phased manner, because the amount of capex that will be needed is very minimal. And then even going from phase one to phase two, from the revenues you're getting from phase one, it'll be paying for the revenues on phase two. So you're really mitigating it right. You're really mitigating it right across. So your capex that says 146 million. In a 43-101, we can't talk about the bulk sample because it's being done. But once that bulk sample is done, you're gonna be producing enough ounces there to be able to cover most of your capex that's needed in your phase one, and then that just continues paying one over the other.
So okay, well, let's take those stages, right? So with the bulk sample, obviously permits required, and a whole bunch of planning too. Can you give us a broad brushstroke of what that looks like?
Absolutely. So when we filed the permit, it was sometime in mid September. So we've been given guidance by the government. It takes 3 to 6 months. So we are at the 6 month level here. So we're expecting it. We're expecting that permit from day to day is when we're expecting the permit. So that's one of the. And sorry, I missed your other question. I know I answered.
Well, it's really about obviously getting the permit imminently is a big part of it. But then if you could kind of lay out the kind of roadmap, the path forward as to what do the bulk samples actually involve. And I know you can't talk necessarily about what revenue it might bring in, but how does that help you? How does that help investors?
Absolutely. So we applied for a 40,000 ton sample, bulk sample, which is, and again, we call it bulk sample, but it's actually test mining. You're actually mining it. We're building all the infrastructure that's being built is the same one that you're going to have for phase one. So with 40,000 ounces, we're estimating it based on the grade that we have. We're estimating that number to come in around 20 to 23,000 ounces. I mean, at that point, where is the price of gold going to be in 2027? That's anybody's guess. But you have to base that on 20 to 23,000 ounces. Now, as we're moving this forward, so the path forward, the minute we get the permits, I'd say no more than 45 days later, you're actually construction starts. You're blasting. You'll be ready by sometime in mid 2027 to actually start extraction.
We want to be clear on this one. So potentially producing mid 2027, which is not so far away, with any ounces, whatever the number of ounces producers are, whatever the price of gold is that your money in terms of the payables component of that? Is that you get to keep that? There's no
absolutely. You'll pay toll milling charges. You'll pay transport, but the gold belongs to us. It's just like mining. There's no. It's not like you negotiate. You negotiate in advance how much they will charge you in order to send this over. Just like Osisko Mining had done, they had sent it over to Northern Sun Mining on the Ontario side. They keep the cash. Whatever was produced, they keep the cash. So your cost is your cost of mining it, and your transport and toll milling charges at that point. But yes, it's your money.
Okay, so significant money's there to help you with kind of the phase one component, because it's pre-mining, as he called it earlier. That obviously kind of gets you up and running, and also you kind of understand that kind of route to market. Can I be clear about with the toll milling, as it were, or the milling of the bulk samples? That gives you data, presumably we are interested in, and the cash clearly. But do you get to select who processes that?
Well, we have a processing professionals that are currently they're at the final stages right now, where they're going to be recommending to us which mills is most suitable for us, and we've got ongoing negotiations going with multiple mills right now, and then we're gonna choose the one that is most suitable for our ore. So that's also ongoing right now, and it's all coming together. It's all coming.
Okay, so that's the kind of imminent thing then. Okay, phase one, according to the PA, looks like what, and what was the timing on that, given that you've done this pre-mining, as it were?
Yeah, absolutely. So on our we're doing at the same time as our bulk sample, we're also putting together to mine in the phase one. We're going through the whole permitting process, because the permits are different for the bulk sample, because it's called an ATI, and the other one will be an exploitation permit. So we've very conservatively put 3.5 years. The 3.5 years ends sometime in 2028. We're expecting it to fast track, and I'll explain to you why the fast tracking, because it is what we're going to be. The way we're going to be mining in phase one is exactly the same how we're mining our bulk sample. So there's no other disturbance, whether at surface or underground. It's exactly the same thing. So with all the work that we're doing, once we've been permitted there's going to be another, while we're in construction, there's going to be another 12 to 15 months during the construction period, and we're going to be working diligently with the government to try to get permitted immediately after we produce from the bulk sample. But what I can tell you now is what's inside our Gantt chart, which is sometime in early to mid 2028.
Okay. In terms of you talked about the kind of, the PA shows kind of low initial capex as a result of this planning, and a kind of very fast payback, and that's ultimately down to the grade that you've got there. Do you think that the grade and the kind of the margins and that kind of capital efficiency is being valued? I mean, I come back to that same question. I'm really trying to work out what people are not understanding or not valuing about you. What do you think it is?
It really comes down to grade. Grade is king. when you look at all these other projects that will, like, even on our site, we have a peer analysis, peer comparisons, and they're all great projects. They're all world-class projects, just like ours. We're a tier one world-class project. But the big difference with us and why our capex is so low is and why our margins are so high, it really comes down to the grade, but not just the grade. I mean, the grade, there's a massive difference. I mean, if I look at some of my peers where, they're at 1.9 grams and some of them at 3.6 grams, where we're at 5.1 grams, and that's 5.1 grams diluted with the rest of our deposit. Because if I look at the Champagne zone, you're looking at 16 grams per ton. Mining it on a diluted basis, you're probably going to be anywhere from 10 to 12 grams, and that's where your margins. I mean, the way I look at it is like you take a ton of rock and you're going to take out 2 grams, or you take out a ton of rock and you got 10 grams. I mean, it's pretty simple which one. And not only that, it's where we're located. We're located, like, infrastructure is all there. Like, we're hooking up to electricity immediately. Like, just recently, when you look at the issues, worldwide issues that were happening with gas. Gas and oil, and we're plugging into electricity. We already made that announcement, and we're going to continue making the announcement as soon as the connection is actually starting. We've given out those permits, so that, again, you're mitigating another risk that other companies will have. If you're in a remote place where electricity is just too far to connect, well, you're going to be doing it with gas. But mind you,
yeah,
in North America, we're okay with gas for either way.
Okay, the chimes are ringing. In celebration. Just in terms of the other things that you made decision, you could have kept on drilling, right? You're finding good high grade gold through the drill bit, but it kind of got to that point where people are going, well, great, but show me the money, and you're doing that component, but there's still a lot of kind of resource base yet to be discovered, right? It feels like.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why we put out the news today that we finally signed the agreement with the First Nations in Ontario. We're eager. I mean, we are drilling in Quebec. It's wide open in every direction. There's still a lot to explore here, but we have some really interesting targets. On the Ontario side. So we're going to be going at that like immediately. There we're deploying to Ontario as we're speaking. And what's important, like, not everybody has that optionality where they say, hey, I got 2.3 million ounces. This is extremely profitable. I'm going to put this into production. Because if you have a 1 gram deposit, you probably do need those 5 or 6 million tons. Because then why is your capex bigger? Because you got to build this bigger mill and bigger everything. Whereas here, I can show people, no, I can mine this. I can mine this and make a lot of money. I mean, we look at some of those PA numbers; they're pretty impressive. Like life of mine, when you look at the life of mine revenues, like it's 5.5 billion, and that's what it be. It's quite incredible. This is a high grade deposit, and that's what makes it different or special, and why you can put this into production with 2.3 million ounces.
So do you think then solely, just from what you said today, in terms of closing that valuation gap, it's going to come from, I guess, the getting close to production, middle of 2027, not production, sorry, getting it close to revenue off the back of the bulk samples will be helpful, but not necessarily, deliver the bulk of the re-rate that you're looking for. You're going to have to kind of get into, mining proper with phase one, and that's you're aiming for when? Remind me of the date.
Well, okay, that's in mid 2027. But I do look when I look.
For phase one, I get the bulk sample mid 2027, but which is, we're not counting it, but it's useful revenue, right?
That's right. So beginning to mid 2028, which I look at some peers that are trading 2 and 3 times our value, have more or less the same timelines on production. Just that it's lower grade and higher capex, and again, they are all world-class projects.
No, I hear you. So it's just, I think it sounds like a combination of things rather than any one thing, any kind of re-rating, sole re-rating activity. It's going to be the sequence that you've lined out, but it's also, I guess, through the drill bit, there's more to come as well. That's what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the drill bit, definitely, because it's going to show that we're going to be able to, look, at the moment, we control 600 square kilometers right in the middle of the Abitibi Greenstone Belt on about a minimum of 70 kilometers on strike. Do I believe we're going to find multiple more deposits? Absolutely. And the key also here is I do believe we're going to get a re-rate the minute we deliver the bulk sample permit, which is definitely imminent. And then with this strategy, not only you're mitigating your financial risk, you're mitigating your technical risk, but you're also, with the revenues, you'll be able to go and continue an aggressive exploration program with the money that you're actually earning. So you're actually going to be, less dilution, right? Because now your revenue producing, and these are very high margins. So I will have excess. There's lots of free cash flow here to continue on an aggressive exploration program.
Do you think, in terms of when you do the kind of peer analysis, and you showed a couple earlier on, but there's quite a few more out there. Do you think the price of gold is helping you, or do you think it's not helping you? I mean, how do you view this kind of reset that we've had recently?
Yeah, I mean, for us, really, the price of gold, it's great when the price of gold is up. I mean, it just makes the project much more profitable. But to remember is that our project, because it's so high grade and very high margins, like our PEA, we did it at $2,500 gold. And when you look at the analysis, the sensitivity analysis, even at $2,000 gold, like the project passes. It's got a again, it's high margin even at $2,000 gold. I don't think we're going to see $2,000 gold for a long time, if ever again. So that's why I really love this project, and that's why I think it's way undervalued and it's not being looked at properly.